So, Manchester United have lost again, and this time it's off the pitch. The story of Alejandro Garnacho leaving Old Trafford always felt inevitable. The issues he stirred up at the end of last season made it almost impossible for Ruben Amorim to keep him in his long-term plans. The problem wasn't whether United should sell him or not, it was how disastrously they handled the process in public. The moment rivals knew United were desperate to offload Garnacho, the club's negotiating power evaporated. Chelsea, fully aware of the situation, had no reason to pay big money. In fact, they could afford to play it cool, drag things out and drive the price down, knowing United would eventually have to sell. From an opening figure of £65 million, United backed themselves into a corner, step by step. 60, then 55, then 50, and finally just £40 million, plus a 10% sell-on clause. Strip it back and the maximum United can realistically make is somewhere between 45 and 50 million pounds. Now put that into context. Garnacho is only 21, has nearly 100 Premier League appearances, over 150 games across all competitions, and direct involvement in close to 50 goals. At that age, with that record, selling him for barely £50 million is close to daylight robbery. If he were at Liverpool or even at Chelsea themselves, the price tag would easily have cleared £60 million. Because in football, transfers aren't just about talent, they're about the art of selling. And United, once again, have proven themselves hopeless at it. They took a valuable asset and turned him into a clearance sale item, stripping themselves of leverage and walking away as losers in a deal that should have brought in nearly double. Losing Garnacho is painful enough from a footballing perspective, but the way it happened is an even bigger blow. In truth, this transfer feels like a brutal reality check. Manchester United are no longer sellers with authority. Once a club that could demand top dollar, they now find themselves forced into weak cut-price deals. And that, more than Garnacho's exit, is the real humiliation. Before diving into what Garnacho could bring to Chelsea, let's take a step back and look at the deal itself. The agreement is worth a fixed £40 million, plus a 10% sell-on clause should he be transferred again in the future. Garnacho will sign a contract until 2032 and is expected to undergo his medical before the move is finalized. Chelsea accelerated negotiations with Manchester United once the two clubs, who had been in contact for some time regarding the winger, reached common ground. The 21-year-old had already ruled out other options this summer, making it clear his only choices were either joining Chelsea or staying at United. Back in June, The Athletic reported that Garnacho was among 5 United players granted an extended break before returning to pre-season. That came shortly after, in May, when head coach Ruben Amorim publicly told him in front of the entire squad to find a new club. Chelsea's interest in Garnacho has been long-standing, and his arrival will make him the second United winger in consecutive seasons to join Stamford Bridge, following Jadon Sancho's loan move last year. The relationship between Amorim and Garnacho had often been tense, with the "find a new club" remark coming after United's Europa League final defeat to Tottenham, a match in which Garnacho only came on in the 71st minute. After that final, Garnacho stated he would see what happens after the summer, and voiced his frustration at not being given a bigger role. United had previously rejected an offer from Napoli in January, but even when he stayed, his angry reaction to being substituted against Ipswich Town a month later forced Amorim to demand that he take the entire squad out for dinner as an apology. Last season, Garnacho made 58 appearances across all competitions, scoring 11 goals and providing 10 assists. These contributions came in a campaign heavily disrupted by injuries to Mason Mount, Joshua Zirkzee, and Amad Diallo, while both Marcus Rashford and Antony were sent out on loan in January, without adequate replacements being brought in. Since joining United's academy from Atletico Madrid in October 2020, Garnacho has gone on to play 144 first-team matches, scoring 26 goals. Garnacho's move to Chelsea had been foreshadowed since the summer. Toward the end of last season, he told friends that he wanted to move to London, with Stamford Bridge his preferred destination. That determination weakened United's bargaining position, especially after Ruben Amorim publicly told Garnacho in front of his teammates that he needed to find a new club. Some clubs were initially quoted £70 million, before the figure dropped to £60 million. When talks began with Chelsea, United demanded £50 million. But according to The Athletic, Chelsea countered with just £25 million and even proposed player swap options, something United refused. In the end, the two sides settled in the middle, £40 million plus a 10% sell-on clause. That fee is seen as reasonable if Chelsea managed to further develop Garnacho. The deal marks the biggest ever sale of a United Academy graduate and the fourth largest outgoing transfer in the club's history, behind Cristiano Ronaldo, Romelu Lukaku, and Angel Di Maria. Even so, many fans are convinced he was worth more. Garnacho's departure also leaves a sense of regret, given his role as a key figure in the 2022 FA Youth Cup triumph, his stunning overhead kick at Goodison Park, and his goal in the 2024 FA Cup final against Manchester City. Yet he often angered fans with his social media activity, most notably when he wore Marcus Rashford's Aston Villa shirt at the end of last season. For a time, Garnacho enjoyed the spotlight at Manchester United and wanted to stay, but he eventually realized his days at Old Trafford were numbered, both within Amorim's system and the club's wider philosophy. Alejandro Garnacho's arrival at Chelsea promises to inject fresh energy into an attack that is being rebuilt around youth, but still lacks refinement. The 21-year-old leaves Old Trafford after nearly 150 appearances, 26 goals, and close to 50 direct goal contributions. Impressive numbers for a player of his age. What convinced Chelsea to invest was Garnacho's ability to break games open, his pace, fearlessness in one-on-one situations, and knack for scoring in decisive moments. These are precisely the qualities Enzo Maresca has been missing on the left flank, a winger who can stretch defenses wide but also cut inside with enough sharpness to finish chances. Compared to Jamie Gittins, considered one of the brightest gems in Chelsea's youth-driven project, Garnacho holds the edge in top-level experience. He has already started matches in the Premier League, Champions League, and major finals. That exposure has taught him how to handle pressure and seize key moments. Gittins may be full of potential, but his rawness has sometimes cost him at decisive junctures. Garnacho, on the other hand, has already lit up Goodison Park with a spectacular overhead kick and sunk Manchester City in the FA Cup final. Chelsea can now believe that in the tensest matches, he has the composure to tilt the balance. Equally important is how Garnacho fits alongside Cole Palmer and Liam Delap. Palmer is Chelsea's creative brain, but he can be overloaded when asked to both orchestrate and finish. Garnacho's presence will ease that burden, offering a direct outlet to stretch defenses and create openings, allowing Palmer more freedom to dictate play. Delap, meanwhile, stands to benefit from Garnacho's cutbacks and through balls after beating fullbacks down the wing. And if it's Pedro leading the line, the dynamic still works. João Pedro can drop deeper while Garnacho drives into the box to finish chances himself. If the trio clicks, Chelsea could be looking at a front line built on speed, youth, and relentlessness, one of the most dangerous attacking triangles in the Premier League. Another key asset Garnacho brings is his personality. At United, he was often criticized for his brash, rebellious attitude. Yet in many ways, that edge is exactly what Chelsea need. The Blues have a tradition of embracing strong characters. Think Didier Drogba, Diego Costa, Eden Hazard. Garnacho could be the next in that lineage, provided he learns to control his impulsiveness and channel it into fuel on the pitch. When you look at the numbers, £40 million for Garnacho feels like smart business. In today's market, wide players of his age often come with a £60 to £70 million price tag. Chelsea are not just getting potential, they're securing a proven Premier League performer at a bargain price. It's the kind of signing that balances risk and reward for a team building a young, fearless core capable of winning trophies. Garnacho's difference-making qualities, more experienced than Gittins, mentally tougher than many other youngsters, creative alongside Palmer, and explosive next to Pedro or Delap, could turn him into one of the most dangerous forwards in England, even surpassing the expectations United once placed on his shoulders. Meanwhile, as Xavi Simons chose Tottenham, Chelsea pivoted toward Fermin Lopez. But even with Fermin's arrival, the real question mark has always been the left flank. Jamie Gittins, once tipped for a breakout, has struggled for consistency. Flashes of promise, but often disappointing, lacking the cutting edge to change games. That's why Garnacho's arrival is so crucial. He doesn't just bring pace, directness, and swagger, he also brings much-needed competition. In that environment, Gittins either steps up and matures quickly, or he gets overtaken by Garnacho. Chelsea are quietly shaping a new attacking framework, with Liam Delap and Pedro Neto as key pillars. Delap offers strength, pressing, and a tireless presence in the box. Neto stretches defenses on the right with his creativity and width. Add Garnacho to the left, and suddenly the front three looks balanced. Neto creates, Garnacho penetrates, Delap finishes. Unlike last season when Cole Palmer had to shoulder both creation and finishing, responsibility is now more evenly spread. If Gittins takes his chances in rotation, Chelsea will have two strong options on the left, Garnacho with proven Premier League experience, Gittins with raw hunger. If not, Garnacho becomes the undisputed starter. Either way, Chelsea win. What was once a glaring weakness could soon become the very heartbeat of their attack.